Are Cold 1 Dread Knights any good in patch 5.1? I was going to have to run without the enhanced stat cards, but the site is back up. Total War Warhammer stats, Google it. I don't have anything to do with them, I just benefit as do we all. Anyway, today we're covering the Dread Knights, and they defy expectations and easy comparisons, so let's lift the curtain and take the measure of the wizard behind it. Recruited for 1300 gold and 325 upkeep per turn, this unit comes from a tier 5 building and takes 2 turns to recruit. Coming in at 48 entities on Ultra, we're looking at 6,864 health unit-wide. Armor is 120 with a shield blocking 35% of small arms fire from the front. Leadership 80, speed 66, charge speed 100. Melee attack starts at 40 with an attack interval of 4.3, no splash damage. Melee defense starts at 44. Weapon strength 48, divided between base 14 and armor piercing 34. Charge bonus is 36 and mass is 1500. The unit benefits from Causes Fear, Hide in Forest, Primal Instincts like other Cold 1 units when under 50% health, and Murderous Prowess when it procs. Let's keep the latter in mind when going forward. Like the previous unit, it benefits from Night Lord for plus 6 melee attack and plus 6 melee defense at 3 pips, and Favor the Fortunate grants rank 7 Dread Knights plus 5 armor, plus 12% weapon strength, and plus 12 flat charge bonus. Since I covered the tech improvements just last video, most taking place very late in the campaign, I'll show them briefly but not dwell much. You get techs, they get better. It's simple enough. So how do we use the Dread Knights? That's the big thing because these are not a Horned One's equivalent in Dark Elves' hands. Not exactly. Rather, these are up-armored, higher melee attack and much higher melee defense versions of the regular Cold 1 riders, in essence. So, thanks to this, they aren't faster than regular knights, and they aren't specialized anti-large, so how will they fare against other cavalry? Yeah, that's... When I run stats, it's part of my Zen approach to video making. You in the audience ask for more stat breakdowns, and I find they create an almost meditative state, a way to ease ourselves to understanding what makes a unit to tick. But stats provide both truth and lies, because our minds lie to us about what they mean in action. In practice, this game is filled with cavalry that are armored, but not armor-piercing oriented. That is, anything that isn't anti-armor specialized is going to have difficulty doing huge damage to them, though hardly impossible. They're usually not high hit points enough they want to tolerate even, let's say, Night Runner Slingers pelting them with impunity. Something like Reiksguard wants to cycle charge in and out, sure. Something like Black Rose Knights wants to stay and fight because they're good at it, and have such high melee defense and the armor, among other potential tricks. They fight with nigh impunity among regular infantry, and even if they're anti-large infantry, they're hitting too softly to turn the tide soon enough. They just get kicked to the curb in essence. That's not the case with Dread Knights. Dread Knights don't have the highest melee attack out there, although as I went over, that rises quickly with a little red-line skill investment. There is no bonus versus large to jack it up, but also it's always there. With only Night Lord, rank 0 Dread Knights have melee defense 50. With full text, they have 130 armor. They're not disposed of easily. And every few seconds of contact with the enemy, they're dealing a minimum of 34 armor-piercing damage per connected hit, regardless of if the armor's 90, 120, or even more. It's not the highest, no, but the consistency is what turns this into a really potent weapon. So in practice, the Dread Knights are hard to get rid of, and every time they hit you, they hurt. A lot. So how about against everything else? Well, they're no better than generalist clog-up-the-works cavalry against single-entity monsters. It's not their role. They can certainly put in a decent showing against the likes of trolls, but armor-piercing attacks will hurt them back. How about infantry? See, here's what they're meant to deal with. The glaring problem is that the charge bonus is only 36, when the previous knights had 44, but they had a lower melee attack that you have to make up for. And against infantry, a lower weapon strength too. Once that charge bonus expired, the base melee attack was only 29. 40 is amazing compared, 46 with Night Lord, and there's plenty of ways to buff it further or diminish the enemy with magical support. I went on this long ramble because the Dread Knights are a high-end generalist unit at heart. I love my Horned Ones, which hit harder and have higher attack, but their base melee defense is 31. These have 44, and have easy access to higher. While the Dread Knights are just as vulnerable to handgunner spam as anything else in their tier, barring that, they have something special, something precious in the Dark Elf roster that should not be overlooked. Staying power. So it's not just that they're armor-piercing and chew up even chunky enemies, it's that they're a heavily armored cavalry tar pit unit. They're faster than fast infantry, yes, they're slower than a lot of cavalry, but hey, they'll still be hell on engaged cavalry trying to escape and cycle charge. They can immobilize monsters in place just through mass and numbers, and it's very, very difficult for most enemies to be casually rid of them. In a roster filled with squishy units, and no, this isn't a gigantic hit point unit, but the armor and defense really do help it stick around a lot. That's how you use the unit. You make it stick to things and corrode them like an acid snuggle buddy, because unlike zombies, these hit hard and pierce armor. And unlike zombies, they have a legit stat sheet that keeps them in the game a lot longer than most. Of course, that doesn't change. You get them in 2 turns and from a tier 5 building, things many people will find unforgivable. But in the end, they're not in the Rot Knights tier, but looking at them and going, weapon strength 48, it's not that high. Over time, the armor piercing really earns its keep, and so does this unit. Just, it is no avail to you to tarp it with heavy cav and not have something else slam into the rear. Or at least you'll suffer way more casualties that way, and that's no fun! So make sure you take advantage to speed things up a little. But the Dark Elf roster has plenty to help with that. Take care, and have fun burning your dread!